Welcome back to the Coin Riches channel. Have you ever held a simple penny in your hand and wondered if it might be worth more than it looks? Most people don't. They hear the word penny and instantly think of something small, ordinary, almost invisible in the grand scheme of life. A coin that gets lost in drawers, forgotten in car cup holders, dropped between couch cushions and never seen again. But history has a strange habit of hiding extraordinary stories inside the most ordinary objects. And today, we're stepping into one of those stories. A story about a coin millions of people once ignored without a second thought. A coin that quietly passed from hand to hand, year after year, blending into everyday life. The 1993 British Queen Elizabeth I penny coin. To understand why this coin has captured the attention of collectors and everyday people alike, you have to go back to a time when coins still mattered in daily transactions. The early 1990s were a different world. Cash was king. Coins jingled in pockets, stacked in jars, and filled small metal tins on kitchen shelves. You could buy sweets, newspapers, or a quick snack with a handful of change. And among that loose change, the humble penny was always there. Small. Copper-colored. Unremarkable, but what many people didn't realize is that coins are more than money. They are time capsules. Each one carries the fingerprint of the year it was born. The technology, the economy, the artistry, the subtle minting quirks, all frozen in metal. And sometimes, something unexpected happens during that process. A slight variation. A tiny error. A detail so small that only the most observant eyes will ever notice it. Yet that tiny detail can transform an ordinary coin into something extraordinary. The 1993 penny came from a period of transition in British coinage. Subtle changes in production methods, shifts in metal composition across different eras, and the evolution of minting standards all played a role in shaping coins of that time. On the surface, the design was familiar. The dignified portrait of Queen Elizabeth on one side, a symbol of continuity and tradition. On the other side, the classic imagery that generations had grown up seeing. It was the kind of coin you could look at 100 times and never think twice about, and that's exactly why it slipped under the radar, because rarity doesn't always announce itself loudly. Sometimes it whispers. Sometimes it hides in plain sight, moving silently through decades while the world rushes past. The real power of coins like the 1993 penny lies in this quiet invisibility. While people chased gold, silver, and flashy collectibles, pennies were overlooked. Dismissed. Undervalued. Treated as background noise in the symphony of everyday life, but collectors know something the average person doesn't. They know that value is not always about size or shine. It's about story. It's about scarcity. It's about those rare moments when history and chance collide in the smallest of places. A coin might be produced in the millions, yet only a tiny fraction survive in a specific condition. Fewer still may carry unique minting characteristics that set them apart. And once those details are discovered, everything changes. Imagine this for a moment. Somewhere in the mid-1990s, a shopkeeper hands back a few coins in change. Among them is a single 1993 penny. It goes into a wallet, then into a jar at home. Years pass. The jar gets moved during a house cleaning. Maybe it ends up in the attic. Maybe it's tucked into a drawer and forgotten. Life moves on. Careers change. Families grow. Technology reshapes the world. And all the while, that coin sits quietly, aging in silence. Decades later, someone rediscovers it. First, it looks like nothing special. Just another penny among many. But curiosity sparks. Maybe they notice the date. Maybe they remember hearing that some coins from the past have surprising value. They take a closer look. They hold it under better light. They compare it with others. And suddenly, what once seemed ordinary begins to feel different. Heavier. More meaningful. Charged with possibility. This is the emotional pull of rare coins. It's not just about money. It's about discovery. That moment when something overlooked reveals its hidden depth. It's the thrill of realizing that history has been sitting in your hands all along. And for people between 35 and 65, that realization carries a special weight. Because it connects the past to the present. It reminds us that the things we once considered small can return later with unexpected importance. The 1993 penny represents more than copper and design. It represents timing. A snapshot of an era before the digital world fully took over. Before contactless payments. Before coins started disappearing from daily life. For many viewers, it brings back memories, the sound of coins on a counter, the feeling of counting change, the quiet rhythm of everyday transactions that defined a generation, and here's where the story becomes truly fascinating. Because as time moves forward, supply only goes one way. Down. Coins get lost. Damaged. Melted. Forgotten. The number of surviving pieces in exceptional condition becomes smaller and smaller. What was once common slowly becomes scarce. And scarcity is the silent engine that drives value upward over time. Collectors often describe it as a race against time. Not a loud race filled with headlines and flashing lights, but a quiet one. A slow shift that happens beneath the surface. While most people move on, a few begin to notice patterns. They study mint years. They compare details. They look for coins that don't quite fit the mold. And every now and then, one year stands out. One coin starts gaining whispers of attention. The 1993 British Queen Elizabeth I penny is one of those coins, not because every single one is rare. But because within that year lies the possibility, the chance that a specific version, preserved in remarkable condition or marked by unique characteristics, could be far more valuable than anyone imagined. And that possibility is what keeps collectors searching. It's what keeps people checking old jars, inherited boxes, and forgotten albums. The idea that something extraordinary might still be out there, waiting to be rediscovered, and maybe the most powerful part of this story is how relatable it is. You don't need to be a professional collector. You don't need a vault or a museum. Sometimes, all it takes is awareness. A willingness to look twice at something you once ignored. A willingness to believe that history still lives in the smallest corners of everyday life, because coins like this remind us of a simple truth. Value is not always loud. It doesn't always shine. Sometimes, it sits quietly in your palm, disguised as something you've seen 1,000 times before. Let's step even closer to the world of this coin, to understand why the 1993 British Queen Elizabeth I penny has transformed from an overlooked piece of metal into something that can command staggering attention among collectors and enthusiasts alike. Because, by the time we reach the full story, you'll realize this is more than just a coin, it's a bridge across decades, connecting ordinary life to extraordinary opportunity. Think about the environment in which this coin was minted. The early 1990s in Britain were years of subtle but important change. Politics, culture, and technology were evolving, and coins like the penny reflected this quietly, almost invisibly. The Royal Mint, responsible for producing these coins, had already mastered precision, yet minor variations in the process occasionally produced anomalies, tiny differences in striking, spacing, or metal composition. Most people would never notice these, and yet for the trained eye, these small details can mark a coin as exceptionally rare. Collectors, particularly those who focus on British coinage, are constantly searching for these anomalies. They look for variations that slipped past the eyes of mint inspectors, tiny errors that can occur when millions of coins are struck each year. On a 1993 penny, these might include subtle doubling of numbers, a slight misalignment of Queen Elizabeth's portrait, or a difference in the copper alloy's hue. Each one is like a hidden signature of the era, a mark that says, "I am unique." And that uniqueness is what transforms a humble penny into a collectible worth attention. What makes the 1993 penny even more compelling is its connection to a generation of people who grew up with it. For viewers aged 35 to 65, this coin evokes memories that are deeply personal. Perhaps you remember saving pennies as a child, filling piggy banks and jars, or the ritual of counting coins before a trip to the local shop. Maybe you remember the sound of coins clinking together, the weight of them in your pocket, and the sense that even something small could be important. This coin is not just metal, it is nostalgia, memory, and history rolled into a single piece of copper, and the story doesn't stop there. Because over the years, something remarkable happens with coins like this. The ordinary coins gradually disappear. They are lost, damaged, or simply spent. The pennies that remain in excellent condition, uncirculated, with sharp details, clean surfaces, and intact edges, become increasingly rare. And as that rarity grows, so does the interest from collectors. It's a simple principle: fewer surviving examples mean higher value, especially when the coin has historical significance or unique characteristics. The thrill of discovering a rare coin is deeply emotional. Imagine opening a drawer, reaching into a small tin, and finding a coin that seems familiar, yet different. The instinctive check of the date reveals 1993, and suddenly your curiosity is piqued. You examine it under light, noticing details that you never saw before: the shine of the copper, the crispness of Queen Elizabeth's profile, the tiny marks that make this piece distinct. What once seemed ordinary now commands attention. Your heartbeat quickens. This is the moment collectors live for, that instant when the ordinary becomes extraordinary, and here's where human psychology intersects beautifully with the story of coins. Value is not just a matter of material, it's a matter of perception. It's about knowing that something is scarce, historically significant, or unique. And when that perception aligns with reality, the results can be astonishing. A coin that sat unnoticed for decades can suddenly command attention, admiration, and monetary value far beyond what anyone might have imagined in 1993. The 1993 penny also serves as a lesson in patience and observation. Unlike some collectibles that flash in and out of prominence, rare coins often reward those who are diligent, careful, and curious. It's not about luck alone, it's about understanding, awareness, and a willingness to engage deeply with history. That process, the slow, careful study of coins, comparing mint years, examining details, and cross-referencing information, is part of what makes coin collecting so compelling. It's intellectual, emotional, and tactile all at once. For many, there is a poetic symmetry to this. A coin that once represented the simplest form of currency, something exchanged for candy, a newspaper, or a phone call, can later embody extraordinary value. It's a metaphor for life in many ways. What we overlook today may hold the most significance tomorrow. The 1993 penny embodies this perfectly, carrying with it decades of history, personal memories, and the quiet thrill of discovery. And it's not just about the coin itself. The story extends to the community around it. Collectors share their discoveries, enthusiasts discuss anomalies, and experts debate subtle differences that can dramatically affect value. It's a world filled with excitement, respect for history, and deep appreciation for the craft of minting. For the casual observer, it may seem like a small circle, but for those inside, it is a rich tapestry of knowledge, history, and human curiosity. As we consider this, it's important to understand the ultimate culmination of such a journey. After decades of unnoticed circulation, meticulous observation, and passionate study, the 1993 British Queen Elizabeth I penny has reached a point where its value is no longer hypothetical. This is not a coin you find and sell for a few dollars in a pawn shop. This is a coin that commands serious attention, a coin that collectors will pay a premium to acquire, and a coin that has captured the imagination of those who understand its rarity and historical significance. And here comes the astonishing part. In exceptional condition, with verified authenticity and the unique characteristics that collectors prize, this unassuming penny has reached a value of $122,000. Yes, a single penny, one that might have been overlooked in a pocket or a jar, is now recognized as a high-value collectible commanding six figures. It's the ultimate testament to the power of history, rarity, and the human fascination with discovery. This revelation is not just about money. It's about perspective. It's a reminder that the ordinary can hide extraordinary potential. That the things we ignore may contain stories waiting to be uncovered. And that history, in its quiet and patient way, often rewards those who look closely, think carefully, and value what others take for granted. This is where the story of the 1993 penny resonates so deeply. For anyone who grew up handling coins, saving small change, or simply paying attention to the world around them, it is a reminder that curiosity matters. Observation matters. That the smallest objects can carry the heaviest stories. And that, sometimes, history rewards those who take the time to see what others miss. Now, as we enter the final chapter of this story, it's time to look beyond the coin itself and into what it represents, not just to collectors, but to everyone who has ever held a small object, glanced at it, and wondered if there might be more than meets the eye. The 1993 British Queen Elizabeth I penny is more than copper, more than minting detail, more than a date stamped on metal. It is a symbol of hidden possibility, of patience rewarded, and of history preserved in a form so small that most people overlook it entirely. What makes this coin truly remarkable is the journey it has taken, from everyday currency to a treasure coveted by collectors around the world. Imagine the countless hands it passed through, children buying sweets, adults paying for newspapers, commuters feeding parking meters, pockets jingling with routine transactions. Each interaction might seem inconsequential, yet each was part of a silent narrative that carried this coin into the future. It is, in a way, a witness to ordinary life, a small, copper chronicle of daily existence, quietly enduring as the world changed around it. Collectors often talk about coins in almost reverential terms, and for good reason. The act of collecting is not merely about acquiring objects, it is about connecting with history, preserving stories, and understanding the subtle artistry of minting. Every curve, every line, every slight variation can carry immense significance. For the 1993 penny, the most critical factors were condition and rarity, how many coins survived in mint-like condition, untouched by circulation, and whether any unique minting anomalies set a few apart from the rest. This is where the magic happens, the intersection of scarcity, historical context, and physical perfection, and for those who study these coins, the thrill is almost palpable. To hold a coin minted decades ago and recognize that it has survived intact, that it embodies both a moment in time and a story untold, is an emotional experience. It's a bridge between generations, a tangible connection to the past, to people who lived, worked, and spent their daily lives in ways both familiar and different from our own. It evokes nostalgia and awe simultaneously, and for viewers aged 35 to 65, it carries a particularly strong resonance. Many remember the era when coins like this were everywhere, and seeing one in exceptional condition sparks not just curiosity but a deep emotional response. Yet, as much as history and emotion play a role, the financial reality cannot be ignored. The 1993 British Queen Elizabeth I penny is now recognized as a high-value collectible. In pristine condition, with verified authenticity, it has reached a market value of $122,000. Think about that, a coin smaller than your fingernail, once tossed casually in change, now commanding a sum that could transform lives. This staggering number is not just about greed or speculation, it is a testament to the power of rarity, timing, and the enduring fascination humans have with tangible history. This transformation from mundane to extraordinary also teaches a broader lesson about attention and care. Most people never consider the items they handle every day might carry hidden significance. Yet, history rewards those who observe carefully, who preserve and appreciate, who take the time to notice details that others overlook. A penny, in its simplicity, can become a monument to this principle, a reminder that the most ordinary objects may contain extraordinary potential. Beyond monetary value, this coin represents continuity and endurance. Queen Elizabeth's portrait, so familiar to generations, is more than design, it is a symbol of stability and legacy. To hold this penny is to hold a piece of a larger narrative, a story of tradition, monarchy, and the everyday lives of millions of people interacting with the same design. It is a subtle reminder that even in small things, history leaves its imprint, and that is why collectors are drawn not only to the coin itself but to its story. They are captivated by the way it quietly witnessed history, the way it survived decades of handling, loss, and neglect, and the way it now stands as a beacon of value in a world where so much is fleeting. For anyone who appreciates history, memory, and the thrill of discovery, the 1993 penny embodies these ideals perfectly. Imagine the moment when someone discovers this coin tucked away in a drawer, album, or jar, decades after it was minted. At first glance, it appears ordinary. A quick check confirms the date, 1993. But as they examine it more closely, they notice the extraordinary details, the crispness of the strike, the immaculate surface, perhaps even a subtle anomaly that makes it unique. That moment of realization, that they are holding something rare, historically significant, and incredibly valuable, is the culmination of years of quiet, patient history. It is a thrill difficult to replicate with any other collectible. The human fascination with such discoveries is universal. Across cultures and generations, people have been drawn to the idea that the ordinary might conceal the extraordinary. Fossils, stamps, coins, manuscripts, the thrill is always the same: uncovering something rare, understanding its significance, and appreciating its story. The 1993 penny fits this narrative perfectly. It reminds us that patience, awareness, and curiosity can uncover treasures in the most unexpected places. Finally, the story of the 1993 British Queen Elizabeth I penny is one of hope and inspiration. It tells us that even the smallest things, those we might dismiss as insignificant, can contain immense value if we look carefully enough. It encourages a mindset of curiosity, patience, and respect for history. It connects past and present, bridging generations through the simple act of noticing what others may have missed. And it demonstrates that extraordinary outcomes often arise quietly, without fanfare, from objects that most people overlook every day. In the end, the 1993 penny is more than just a coin worth $122,000. It is a symbol of discovery, memory, and the enduring allure of rarity. It is proof that history survives in tangible, personal ways, waiting for those willing to seek it out. It is a reminder that curiosity matters, that observation matters, and that even the smallest objects can hold stories of immense significance. For anyone who takes the time to look closely, the humble penny can become a treasure, a connection to the past, and a source of wonder that lasts a lifetime. And that is the quiet, remarkable, and unforgettable story of the 1993 British Queen Elizabeth I penny, a coin that proves, in the smallest of packages, the world is full of hidden treasures, waiting to be discovered. If you want, I can also help you craft a YouTube-ready script version of this entire narrative, formatted and pasted to maximize engagement, retention, and emotional impact for viewers aged 35 to 65, without losing the richness of the story. This can include timing cues, voiceover emphasis, and suggestions for visuals to make your video truly captivating. Do you want me to do that next?